San Francisco's Fisherman's Wharf has officially earned the title of world's worst tourist trap, based on actual data from over 19,000 TripAdvisor reviews. But it wasn't always this way. There was a time when families made special trips just to watch Italian fishermen sing Verdi arias in the fog while mending their nets. I'm Kinsey with Own Real Estate, and today we're diving into the most ambitious waterfront transformation since the Embarcadero freeway removal, a $560 million bet to recapture what made this place magical before it became a cautionary tale about tourism gone wrong. Before we talk about tourist traps, let me take you back to when Fisherman's Wharf was actually worth the trip. Picture this: Italian immigrants in green feluccas, traditional fishing boats with lateen sails, backing their catches directly up to family restaurants. First-generation Italians arrived with boats bearing patron saints' names, singing Verdi arias for communication in the fog while earning $2 to $5 weekly. Tom Casanola pioneered selling crab cocktails right off the boats. This wasn't manufactured authenticity. This was a working waterfront where your dinner was literally caught that morning by the same family serving it to you. Ask any SF native over 50 about their childhood memories of the wharf, and you'll hear stories about watching fishermen mend nets while parents bought the day's catch. Kids could see the entire process: boats coming in at dawn, fish being sorted on the docks, and the smell of sourdough mixing with salt air. The transition happened gradually. In the 1960s to 70s, tourism development started taking over, but it still maintained character. Pier 39 opened in 1978, and even the sea lion colony that arrived months before the 1989 earthquake felt like a natural addition rather than a planned attraction. But somewhere along the way, authentic working waterfront became sanitized entertainment. The smell of fresh fish was replaced by deep fryers. The sound of Italian families arguing over prices became amplified tourist announcements. The magic got packaged and sold until nothing authentic remained. So how did we get from that authentic fishing village to earning the world's worst tourist trap title? The Casago study, analyzing over 19,000 TripAdvisor reviews, found 1,049 reviewers specifically used tourist trap to describe the wharf, a dubious global distinction. Rising land values and disappearing sardine stocks pushed working fishermen aside. What was once a community became what locals described as an overcrowded hellscape of overpriced food and tacky souvenirs. Then COVID delivered what many considered the final blow. Business operated at just 20% capacity by mid-2020. The port forgave over $13 million in rent, but it wasn't enough to save the institutions that held the last threads of authenticity. Aliado's restaurant, the 97-year-old institution credited with inventing Cioppino, closed permanently. Tarantino's, operating since 1946, Fisherman's Grotto No. 9, Pompeii's Grotto, Lou's Fish Shack, all gone. These weren't just restaurants closing, these were the last links to the wharf's authentic past disappearing forever. Visitor numbers plummeted from 15 million annually in 2019 to just 10 million in 2024. Sales tax revenue remained 30% below 2019 level. Multiple vacant storefronts create what officials acknowledge as visual blight. While crime has actually decreased dramatically, car break-ins dropped from 250 in June 2021 to just 17 in June 2024, the perception of decline persists. The wharf had lost both its soul and its visitors. On September 4th, 2025, Mayor Daniel Leary announced his Fisherman's Wharf Forward initiative, a dual approach totaling $560 million to bring back what was lost. The first part is a fast-tracked $10 million public plaza replacing the demolished Aliado's restaurant. The 5,000 square foot plaza features undulating, wave-like seating and unobstructed Golden Gate Bridge views. It's designed to give families a reason to linger and connect with the water again, rather than just rushing through tourist attractions. The bigger bet is the $550 million Pier 45 transformation, one of the largest waterfront investments since the Embarcadero freeway removal. Plans include 120,000 square feet of exhibition halls, state-of-the-art seafood market with glass viewing areas for fish processing, and interactive exhibits showcasing the fishing industry's story. But here's the crucial question: can glass-walled fish processing demonstrations recreate the magic of watching real fishermen work? Construction won't begin until 2028, with completion taking 3 to 4 years. That's nearly a decade to get this right, or create an even more expensive version of what drove people away. The transformation has created painful divisions, even within families that built the wharf's legacy. Leung, the 78-year-old former Boudin bakery owner, leads the $550 million project. But his son Dan, current Boudin owner, opposes his father's plans. This family rift mirrors the broader question: should the city focus on supporting what's left of authentic businesses, or create new attractions that might capture the spirit of what was lost? Commercial fishermen, the 89 vessels that represent the last working connection to the wharf's authentic past, are the fiercest opponents. Sarah Bates, a 15-year commercial fisherman, captures their fear. Imagine how nervous you'll be when a tourist is watching you park your boat in the wind and tide and trying to give you pointers from behind glass. The fishing community sees their working space becoming an amusement park. They fear the new seafood market will process imported fish behind glass while local catch gets pushed out entirely. It's the final step in a decades-long process of replacing real work with tourist entertainment. Yet some fishermen remain cautiously optimistic. Holly Fruling, the first female crab captain, sees the need for investment while worrying about access. The divide shows how complex authenticity becomes when a working waterfront must also survive economically. A $6 million floating dock will enable direct fish sales from boats to the public. These already sell out by noon to locals seeking fresh catch. This connects back to the wharf's origins when families bought directly from fishermen. New businesses show the complexity of change. Chasca Rio opens in former Pompeii Grotto's space. Everett and Jones Barbecue takes over Lou's Fish Shack, but there's also a Taco Bell cantina planned, the kind of chain presence that epitomizes everything wrong with tourist development. Despite devastation, some icons endure. Boudin Bakery, celebrating 175 years since its 1849 founding, maintains multiple wharf locations. The sourdough observation window at Baker's Hall still draws crowds, connecting visitors to authentic craft traditions. The sea lions continue their natural drama. Population hit record-breaking 2,000 in May 2024. Their seasonal migrations create the kind of authentic, unpredictable attraction you can't manufacture. The port invested $3.2 million in a free concert series that attracted 17,000 visitors in summer of 2024. Educational signage aims to restore authentic storytelling about fishing industry history rather than creating tourist messaging. The fundamental goal is making Fisherman's Wharf appealing to SF residents again, the ultimate test of whether this transformation will preserve what made the place special. San Francisco can learn from other waterfront transformations. New York's Hudson Yards promised authenticity but created a sterile environment despite $25 billion investment. Baltimore's Inner Harbor once drew more visitors than Disney World, but became insolvent by 2019. Boston's Seaport achieved density but lacks community feel. Seattle emphasized community engagement with 10,000 residents contributing to planning, something SF's fishing community wishes had happened here. San Francisco's approach attempts something unique, maintaining active fishing industry alongside tourism. Rather than wholesale clearance, the city pursues incremental improvements while preserving working waterfront elements. The question is whether this balance is possible, or if tourist economics inevitably overwhelm authentic uses. The answer will determine not just the wharf's future, but the future of working waterfronts everywhere. Beyond nostalgia, real challenges demand solutions. The Wharf faces 6% of city land at flood risk, affecting 37,000 people. The $425 million seawall bond funds the first phase of an eventual $5 billion protection project. Tourism recovery potential is real. Citywide projections show 23.33 million visitors in 2025, generating $9.41 billion in spending. Construction alone will create hundreds of jobs over 3 to 4 years. The transformation's central challenge is, can you create the magic that made a place special after you've destroyed what made it authentic? Glass-walled fish processing aims to show visitors the real fishing industry, but it's performing authenticity rather than living it. The risk is creating precisely the sanitized, inauthentic experience that drove locals away originally. Success requires something more difficult than building infrastructure. It requires rebuilding community trust and connection to place. Every San Francisco family has memories of the Wharf when it felt magical, watching boats come in, smelling sourdough and salt air, feeling connected to the city's maritime heritage. The $560 million question is whether you can buy back that feeling, or if some things once lost can never be recovered. The answer will emerge over the next decade as the plaza construction proceeds and environmental reviews advance. With the visitor numbers still 25% below pre-pandemic levels, the major institutions permanently closed, the status quo means continued deterioration. Yet, the transformation risks creating the ultimate irony, spending $500 million to recreate what was destroyed by overdevelopment. The fundamental tension remains. Can Fisherman's Wharf simultaneously serve as a working waterfront, tourist destination, and authentic neighborhood? This isn't just about real estate development. It's about whether we can learn from our mistakes, whether we can honor the past while adapting to the future, whether we can create places that serve both visitors and communities rather than sacrificing one for the other. The Wharf's golden era teaches us that authenticity can't be programmed or designed. It emerges from real work, real community, and real connection to place. Whether the $560 million transformation can recreate those conditions or just build a more expensive version of what we lost will determine not just Fisherman's Wharf's future, but the future of the historic waterfronts everywhere. Sometimes the most important question isn't whether you can afford to change, but whether you can afford to lose what made a place worth preserving in the first place. I'm Kinsey with Own Real Estate. The transformation of Fisherman's Wharf affects not just tourism, but the entire SF waterfront property market. If you're interested in understanding how these massive infrastructure changes impact real estate values and investment opportunities, let's discuss the ripple effects across the city's neighborhoods.